All right, we're looking at the Alessandro and Isabella case study on private wealth. Let's read the first question and start reading paragraph from there. Question 1. The Carusos are best classified as high net worth, VHNW, which is very high net worth, or UHNW, which is ultra high net worth. So I think the CFA kind of defines these three as high net worth is going to be 1 to 5 million, very high net worth is going to be 5 to 30 million, and then ultra high net worth is going to be 30 plus. So we just need to get their net worth and then we can categorize them. Alessandro and Isabella, age 63, age 64 and age 63, Caruso recently sold Alessandro's Florence-based artisan wine business for 18 million euros. So it looks like they would fall into that very high net worth. Let's make sure there's no other assets, though, that pushes them into ultra. Although the business provided a comfortable income, they never really considered themselves wealthy. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, skimming through here, you don't see anything else on the level of any other assets. So it looks like they fall into B, that 5 to 30 million, very high net worth range. Question 2. The current stage of the Caruso's wealth identity is most likely A, the honeymoon phase, or B, the achieving balance phase, or C, the identity consolidation phase. So I think we just left off right here. After the liquidity event and indulging in a few luxury purchases, the Carusos began considering their long-term spending needs and legacy planning. They now understand that being wealthy is a significant part of their identity, but it does not define them entirely. Luca Moretti, Alessandro's longtime friend, holds a PhD. Okay, so it looks like the main part we're looking at is kind of this right here. I think this significant part of the identity is pretty key to this question. So let's look back at these answers. So A, the honeymoon phase. Honeymoon phase is going to be what they're going through with the newly acquired wealth. So typically that's going to be they sold the business and they do go off and do kind of some of their spending purchases. It looks like they already did that. It says they indulged in a few luxury purchases. So I think we've moved past the honeymoon phase. B, the achieving balance phase. So this is going to be the phase where the individuals have kind of already created their life plan and decided where how they're going to use their money, what they're going to spend it on personally, maybe what they want to do philanthropically or legacy-wise for their kids. I don't think they're quite in this stage yet, since it says they're just now starting to understand that being wealthy is part of their identity, but they're starting to consider kind of this. I think the balance phase would be kind of once they've already completed those steps. So then it leaves us the identity consolidation phase. So the kind of definition from CFA there is there's increased internalization of the idea of oneself as the possessor of wealth. Individuals move away from seeing their wealth as external and start understanding it as a part of their identity, but not the entirety of it, which is kind of exactly what they're saying here. It's a significant part of them, just like running their business was probably a significant part of them, but it doesn't entirely define them. So that fits right in with answer C. Question number 3. Alessandro's trust in Luca Moretti is most likely A, affect-based only, B, cognition-based only, or C, both affect-based and cognition-based. So affect-based is going to be kind of on more of an emotional level. So this might be somebody that you're friends with or family with, and that's like a reason that you trust them. B, cognition-based only. So this is going to be you trust them because they are known as a smart person or they have the right credentials or experience to kind of be trusted with advice in a certain area. So we need to figure out whether they trust Luca Moretti for relational reasons or credentials reasons or both. Luca Moretti, Alessandro's longtime friend, holds a PhD in economics from Sapienza University and works for a well-respected global investment firm. Despite having no experience with private wealth clients, Alessandro trusts Luca to provide unbiased advice and to be upfront about the limitations of his knowledge. So we've got here longtime friend. So that kind of checks the box on affect-based. They probably trust them due to being a longtime friend. And then on the cognition base, it's a little tricky. since it says they have no experience with private wealth clients, but they have a PhD in economics and work for a global investment firm. So they likely have a very, very wide range and strong knowledge of a lot of different finance topics that would apply to private wealth clients. So I think we can check the box on cognition-based as well and go with C, both affect-based and cognition-based trust. All right, last question on this case. Which principle of fairness is most consistent with Isabella's views toward lifetime gifts and an enlarged inheritance for Julia? A, principle of fair allocation, B, principle of equality, or C, golden rule? Let's read until we learn more about the lifetime gifts and bigger inheritance for Julia. The Crusoes have 2 children, Julia and Marco. Both have degrees in engineering and launched successful careers after university. However, after working for several years, Julia took a 7-year break from her career to raise her 3 children. Although Julia could return to work, her extended absence from the industry would result in a significantly lower salary compared to Marco's. Having made a similar sacrifice herself, Isabella wants to help Julia by supporting her grandchildren's education and by providing lifetime gifts and a larger share of the inheritance compared to Marco's, to compensate for Julia's unpaid work as a homemaker. Okay, so the mom wants to give the daughter a little bit more money than the brother because of the sacrifice for staying at home with the kids. So which kind of principle of fairness does this fall into? A, principle of fair allocation. This is going to be correct. The principle of fair allocation, and the reason this is right is it takes into more account qualitative factors, I guess you would call it, or circumstances than just saying, okay, for example, the principle of equality, this is going to be incorrect because it would mean just splitting everything equally no matter what. So that's going to be more quantitative. I have 2 kids, I'm splitting it by 2, versus taking into account, okay, I have 2 kids, but one of them has endured these hardships or has made sacrifice, like not working. And so, you could say that Marco, it doesn't say anything about it, but if he's doesn't have kids and has been able to work this whole time and is making more money, then he probably doesn't need the inheritance as much. So taking into account those types of things and deciding how to allocate money. And then C, golden rule. It doesn't really mention anything about Isabella having something else done for her. The golden rule would kind of be doing unto you as you would like done to yourself. So that, I don't know, that doesn't really apply here. So we'll go with A, principle of fair allocation.